One day, I hope I can meet a handsome man who can sit still, follow the rules, and complete tasks in a consecutive order. Said no interesting woman ever. Hey, Dan here, and this may be one of the shortest videos in this series on adult ADHD, but it is one of the most important. I'm looking at the byproducts of adult ADHD. The things that might be showing up in your life or the life of someone you love who has ADHD and isn't aware of it, isn't treating it. The point of this video is to bring awareness, but it's also to bring a sense of motivation to, well, handle your shit. When you see the long list of things that ADHD can impact in one's life, I know for me, it was really eye-opening. And when you gain that awareness, and that's what I'm trying to do with this whole series, when you gain that awareness of what adult ADHD actually is and what it can be affecting in your life, suddenly you have this sense of motivation to deal with it, but also a sense of empowerment because you realize that some of these negative byproducts of ADHD, these things that have shown up in your life, maybe you've thought it was all about you. Maybe you've thought that it was something wrong with you. You weren't very smart because you weren't getting good grades, or you were just someone who never had good self-esteem or always felt anxious and didn't realize that, hey, these might actually be byproducts of this little superpower I have, ADHD. And if I, let's say, handle the ADHD, and I'm gonna be talking about that in other videos, as you know, the different ways to handle it. If I handle it, that all these other byproducts will go away. So let's go through some of these. The first one is anxiety. And this can be confusing because some people who have ADHD totally are chill. They don't care about anything. Others have a lot of anxiety and often end up actually following through on things and being fairly reliable. And this is a distinction. And actually in one of the books I read on ADHD, the author makes this distinction that when you have a higher level of anxiety, you tend to ultimately get things done still because you have that worry. And some people with ADHD just don't get things done. They're really relaxed and don't really care. And that's a bigger issue to really dissect all that. But ultimately with ADHD, there's a higher chance that you're forgetting things or maybe not the most organized. We also can often be avoidant, so we don't handle issues that we should handle. And guess what all that does? Creates anxiety. Like if there's phone calls you were supposed to make 3 months ago to the bank to deal with some billing issue, if there's someone you meant to apologize to 2 years ago for, missing the wedding where you were supposed to marry them or something, that stuff adds up. And guess what makes it worse is when we have ADHD, we have race car brains. So we're thinking about things in many cases a lot faster than other people and bouncing around. So if we do have all these unfinished things, they tend to keep popping back into our mind over and over again and creating anxiety. And guess what anxiety and overthinking can do? Yeah, drain us of our energy levels. Our brain uses something like 24% of the energy of our whole body. So if we're always thinking through things, if we're always worried, we're always feeling anxious and going through all these loose ends through our, in our thoughts, like, oh, I should have done that, I should have done this. Yeah, it's going to drain you and you're going to feel a lot less energy. I know that when I clear up loose ends and when I allow myself to have less anxiety, less overthinking, that I end up having a lot more energy to put towards other things. The next byproduct of adult ADHD can be mood swings and frustration or impatience. If you tend to snap at people, maybe have more mood swings than what you might consider normal, this can be a byproduct of adult ADHD. And keep in mind, the cool thing, and I do mean cool thing, about this being a byproduct is that when you deal with the ADHD, the byproducts go away, that these are not part of who you are. This is not a deeper personality trait. It is a byproduct of ADHD. Speaking of byproducts, having lower self-esteem or low self-confidence can be very much related to ADHD. Think about it. If your whole life people have been getting mad at you for not being organized or not being able to sit still, or you haven't been able to fit in this rigid environment we call school that sucks in most countries, at least speaking for myself, then yeah, you're probably gonna have lower self-esteem because your whole life you've been told you're not good at stuff and you can't follow directions and you're late. And so yeah, you're gonna have less self-confidence. And that will carry into adult life, which will then affect the decisions you do, the risks you're willing to take on, the projects you're willing to go for. I bet there's a lot of people with ADHD who would love to say be entrepreneurs and go after something, but they don't yet, and I say yet because this is something I can help with here on my channel, have the confidence to believe in themselves and take those risks because of the years of being made to feel a certain way due to ADHD. And the last two here are bigger byproducts that you might see looking at your life. life. And that can be poor health and a lower income or less financial or career success than you could otherwise have. These are ultimately byproducts of not being able to be really disciplined, maybe making poor decisions, maybe not being organized. These things come as a result of some of the negative traits that ADHD can bring with it and ultimately have a long-term impact. It makes sense, right? If a few times a week, every week, you maybe drink a few too many beers than you otherwise would because, hey, we can be a little impulsive. And often, and this is another thing that I may cover in another video, is we can self-medicate as well. Sometimes if you really aren't aware of your ADHD, you'll find something like drugs or alcohol or even coffee can help in a way. And with drugs and alcohol, sometimes people are like, hey, this is actually when my mind feels calm, when I can feel presence, when I can shut off that chatter that's always going on. So not only can we be a little more impulsive and maybe, just jump into things, but also we might get a bit more benefit, or at least feel we do, from things like alcohol, and that can lead to more and more of that, which if you think our days become our weeks, or weeks become our months, or months become our life, right? That's ultimately going to have long-term health consequences and long-term financial consequences. I didn't see an ADHD specialist until I was an adult, and the first one that I can really remember the conversation with, I briefly saw someone when I was maybe 18, very quick meeting, don't remember much of it, didn't take a lot out of it. But I saw a doctor later on, I think I was in my mid-20s, and one of the things he said to me really changed my view on treating ADHD and just thinking about it overall. And we were talking about medication, and I'm gonna cover medication in another video here, and we can get into that, everyone has different views on it. But one of the things he said to me, I was asking about side effects, and the side effects on stimulant medication for the majority of people are mild. They're things like occasionally trouble sleeping or headaches, what you would expect from a stimulant, like if you had too much coffee perhaps. And he said to me, yeah, but what are the side effects of not treating it? And that really changed how I started to think about not just ADHD, but anything at all in life that we're treating and dealing with. Is by default, we look at what is currently happening as normal and anything new we do as the thing that has the byproduct, right? Or the side effect. And ultimately, he framed the question in a way where I started to think like, yeah, what is the side effect of not treating this? What ultimately can that lead to? And I've discussed some of that in this video here. And that's why sometimes when we think about side effects of some kind of treatment, or maybe even the time, like to take 30 minutes every day and exercise, let's say, and that's a side effect. Oh, we lose that time. But what is the side effect of not doing that? So I'm hoping this video did two things for you. Number one, brought some awareness about aspects of your life or the life of someone you care about, you're watching this for, that maybe are actually related to ADHD and have been treated in isolation and just looking like, oh, you don't have confidence, you must have confidence issues. Oh, you have anxiety, you must have an anxiety disorder. Not looking at the holistic picture and what could actually be the underlying cause, which in many cases can be ADHD. The other thing is I hope it serves as a source of motivation, because everything I mentioned here, these byproducts, these can go away when we get on to how to deal with adult ADHD. And when they go away, the cool thing is, and I've said this in other videos, is you keep all the upside of ADHD, the creativity, the spontaneity, our ability to think on our feet and tackle problems and all that good stuff, and many of those positive traits and strategies that you've developed in order to live with ADHD. You keep all those and you can just deal with some of these byproducts. So I'm going to talk about that in future videos, all the different ways of treating ADHD, not just looking at medications, although I will discuss those and my opinion on medication, but also looking at a wide range of lifestyle and diet choices and all sorts of things. You better believe I have not only studied it, but tried it myself and experimented with all this. And I will share everything I've learned. Thank you for watching. If you are new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button. I publish new videos all the time on becoming the best version of yourself and creating an awesome life for you and those you love. And I'm mostly talking to us weirdos who don't really want to fit into the standard mold that most people are trying to follow. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video soon.